This is the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA, a weekly recap of your Philadelphia Eagles and news around the NFL. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Rob's Automotive and Collision, BCWSA, Chickies and Pete's, Allstate Fairless Hills Tom LaCroix, Penworth Financial Services, Penn Community Bank, Capital Grill, Ventresca's LTD, Independence Blue Cross, and SEPTA. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA. Now, here are your hosts, Delaware County Times Birds reporter Bob Grotz and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. It is great to be with you. We are at Chickies and Pete's in Audubon tonight, and this football season has been amazing. 5-0. Philadelphia Eagles 5-0. Everything going well, and we have a terrific guest with us tonight, one of our favorite guests, Mike Reichenbach, who Buddy used to call Rockenbach. But he played for Buddy Ryan. You played for Marion Campbell. You played for Buddy Ryan. Then you went to Miami. You played for Don Shula. And then you played for George Seifert with the 49ers.
Played for all the great ones, but never got to the big game.
Never got to the Super Bowl.
Never got to the Super Bowl.
But you got to some big games.
Big games. We played in some really big games. Every game in Philadelphia is a big game.
Isn't it?
Absolutely. What do you think about this start, Mike? 5-0, and wow. You look at, like, the numbers. Like, I think the Eagles are averaging, like, 75 plays, and the opposition is averaging, like, 60 plays. That's like 4 series, right?
Yeah, that's the thing I see with this team is the balance and how they feed off each other. And even when the offense, as you saw yesterday in Sunday's game, the offense was struggling at times, the defense picked up the slack. And so the balance listen, football hasn't changed a whole lot. It's evolved into a different type of game because of speed and spreading it out. It's still clock management. It's keep the ball and move the chains, and I think this team has that down. And I think they got to work in the red zone a little better, get a little more efficient in that area. But it's a good balanced football team.
That almost doesn't matter though, Mike. The way that they had the ball. I mean, it's kind of. Yeah, I mean, I understand that the red zone, and there was a little bit of drama this past week. Jason Kelsey got a little upset on the sideline.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, it's just I've not. Merrill, correct me if I'm wrong. Since I've been on the beat, I've not seen an Eagles team dominate like this in terms of time of possession.
Well, they are. I mean,
and
how about this, Mike? Do you ever remember a game when your opponent never came to your side of the field? Do you realize that on Sunday the Rams never crossed the 50-yard line?
That is incredible. I mean, it depended the defense. When I first came to Philly,
That's in the second half.
Yeah,
by
we
the way.
played. We played in a 3-4 defense. It was kind of that bend but don't break defense. So the team would drive down the field, and then they'd get in the red zone, and because you have more guys in coverage, it was hard to score. So we did a lot of that. Buddy's defense was more of an attack defense, but it did leave you exposed because you were a lot of man-to-man stuff. So people would get into your zone, and you'd have to push them out. But yeah, I've never seen the way they dominated.
I have had to revise my thinking because I'm old school, and I looked at these guys at training camp for the last several years, and they don't hit, and they have one practice a day that's about 45 minutes, and maybe a little longer than 45 minutes. Maybe it's an hour and a half some days, but there's no hitting. There's no real contact. And then the preseason games begin, and nobody plays. We get guys who are known only to their mothers. None of the starters get any place near the field. Now, I thought, how are they going to be ready for the season? September is what the preseason used to be, but then you look around, and they're 5-0. They're doing something right.
Well, I think the Eagles are a different type. They have a lot of veterans. I think each team is like when I played, we were too far the other way. We hit all the time. I mean, we're 2-a-days practices, full pads, hitting all the time.
I just watched you guys and I was hurt.
Oh, I know. And I've gone to the practices and they don't do the hitting. I think there's a happy medium because I think you almost have to. I used to say it's not just you have to be in good cardio shape, but you also have to be in hitting shape. And I think sometimes some of these tweaks and these injuries that you might see that you didn't see back then, you're seeing it because when game speed comes, it's just so much different. And it taxes the body. And if you don't practice at game speed, at least for some time, you start to see even things with like Aaron Rodgers, where you that foot bends a way it hasn't been in before, and it hasn't been stretched out, and all of a sudden you tear an Achilles or something.
Right. Well, I got to tell you this, Merrill. The way I get ready for your show, is I don't do anything for like 2 months before it. I gotta save my voice. So yeah, and that kind of jives with what they're doing.
No, it's a little bit different than Mike. I remember how brutal Buddy's camps were. I mean, he had different drills. One of them was called the Oklahoma drill, where he would set 3 guys up to tackle on a poor running back, and they would make the lane about 5 yards, and the poor running back had to take on 3 guys.
I think that's illegal in Radnor Township now. Yeah,
Buddy would have gotten fired. He thought running backs were expendable, so he was okay with that. He would just churn through running backs, and he thought that toughened him up. But yeah, he used to go into the offensive huddle. And he'd say, listen, because one thing you would do in camp, you would never cut your own players. That means block them below the waist. You wouldn't do it in practice. He'd go in the offensive huddle and he'd say, listen, I want you guys to block them, and however you have to cut them, do whatever you have to do. Then he would come over to the defensive huddle and he says, he'd say to the offensive huddle, if you don't cut them, I'm going to cut you. So then he'd come to the defensive huddle and he goes, listen, these guys are going to try and cut you. If you let them cut you, I'm going to cut you. So he was setting up for a fight.
So
as soon as the first fight, he'd try to cut each other and there'd be a fight break out. And so that
was an atmosphere of fear.
He did it. That's every day. It was every day. It was intensity. See, he called it intensity. But he did manage by fear and uncertainty, and he got a response. He got players.
Well, listen, I love Dick Vermeil. Nobody appreciates Dick Vermeil more than I do. But when you went to training camp, and he brought 120 guys to training camp. Now you're allowed only 90, and he used to put them through a replica of the Bataan Death March. I mean, it was scary.
Yeah, Dick.
2 a days.
Dick was intense, but he valued those players. I mean, I used to hear stories because I didn't get the opportunity to play against him, privileged to play for him, but he used to go to bat for those players in the front office.
Oh yeah.
He'd get them if they earned it and they deserved the money. He would go to bat for them. So the players really admired him as a coach.
Mike, what do you think about the drama that kind of surrounds this team? They're 5-0, and then it was like every 5 minutes you'd look on the sideline, the TV cameras would show someone else going off. It was like one time it was Kelsey.
Yeah, you see it, and there's a difference.
Another time the coach.
Yeah, there's a difference. I say that passion is good. You got to have passion. When it becomes emotional, when it becomes tied to you need the spotlight, then you have a problem. There's a fine line between having that passion and it becoming about me. When I first went to San Francisco, you had a lot of stars, and they all wanted the spotlight. And sometimes that locker room would be divided. The thing with the NFL and any pro sport is keeping those guys pointed. I think the biggest job of a head coach nowadays is to be an administrator and a motivator. You got to keep the guys pointed, keep them focused, and motivate them. Because these guys, again, everything in these guys' lives has been based on performance. So they're real insecure in a lot of ways like that. But if you can keep them pointed and keep them focused, that's the hard part.
So this is a good thing then, right?
Good. Yeah. It's a good thing to have the passion when it becomes me, when it comes about. I mean, you guys, and of course you've seen it in the past when you had guys like that.
Well, Terrell Owens,
he was
the
worst.
He was the worst.
Yeah.
He absolutely ripped that team apart.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
And that's what happens, and that's what you got to avoid, and that's the fine line. How do you keep them focused? Because the guys are making a lot of money now, and they're told they're a franchise, so they're trying to market themselves, and they're being told a lot of things in their ear off the field,
this
too.
This is my brand.
Yeah, the brand. Right,
right.
Yeah.
So Mike Reichenbach is our guest if you just joined us. You played for Marion, Buddy, Shula, and Seifert. Is it safe to assume that the greatest coach you ever played for was Shula?
Well, that's a tough question. I would think that
he has the most wins.
Yeah. Don Shula was old-time football. I'll definitely say that. He was I think he surrounded himself with good people, and that was one of the best things I saw. And of course that he was a good judge of talent. He was probably. But George Seifert, the guys that he mentored, and we'll start it with Bill Walsh, and then Seifert, and the guys that learned from him, and they changed the game because the old time football was two-a-days, hitting, all that old time. We hit all the time, even with Buddy, with Don Shula. Seaford was the first place I went where they did one practice a day during camp.
Boy, you must have thought they were going to cut your salary.
I know. You know what I thought, Merrill? Why didn't I come here sooner in my career?
One practice a day. But he was smart, right? He was a cerebral coach.
Very cerebral, and it was all situational. I mean, the one thing different about the San Francisco 49ers back then is they did everything like they were going to the Super Bowl. They met like they were going to the Super Bowl. They talked about the Super Bowl. When we would have meetings, they'd say, listen, when we get to the big game, this is what we have to watch about. This is what's good. We got to get better at and that's why I say about, those mistakes and getting better in the red zone. As you get closer to that big game, those things become more of a problem if you can't capitalize on them. You can't get down there and kick field goals every time you get in the red zone. You have to score. You have to score touchdowns. So.
Well, they had two of the greatest players of all time. And did you get to know either Joe Montana or Jerry Rice?
No, I just got to briefly in camp. I was there, and Joe that was the year Joe got traded
to Kansas City,
yeah. And Steve Young took over.
Huh. What was Young like?
He was a jokester, good guy. He used to... in the camp there, where it was in Santa Clara, so there was a lot of. We did it on a college campus that had a lot of hills, and the guy would come in with mountain bikes because you would drive these mountain bikes all over the campus to get to your meetings and practice. So Steve Young, of course, the quarterbacks would get out of their meetings first, and he would get all the linemen's bikes and put them up in the tree. And he'd hang them in the tree. So, these big linemen come out. The last thing a lineman's going to do is climb a tree. So they all come out, and they're tired end of the day, and their bikes are up in the tree.
Great stuff, yeah. Oh, man.
So, but, yeah, they were a close team. They definitely were focused.
Now, with the Eagles, you were with some amazing players. I don't know that I have ever met a player who was as great at his position as Reggie White.
Yeah, phenomenal player, phenomenal person number one, and then to the ability that he had and the size that he had. It was back then it was unheard of. I mean, you didn't see guys that size that could run like he could run and do the things he did. I mean, I saw him pick up offensive linemen and just throw them, and just to watch him on film was a treat in the game films after the game to see him play.
You'd never see him trip over something in the locker room, maybe some guys. Greatest feat ever, and a great guy. He was a jokester too.
Oh yeah, he was the best. He did the best Spider-Man. Yeah. He would come out and do all the superheroes, and so there was. There's the pre-wrap. It was a red pre-wrap that you would put on your ankles before you put the tape on. He would put his head in there and cut out 2 eye holes and come out like Spider-Man.
And then he used to do impersonations of Muhammad Ali.
Oh, yeah.
And he did Charles Barkley.
He did them all.
And he did me.
He did.
Yeah.
He did do that. I remember that.
He did Kotite, too.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. All right, we're going to be back with Mike Reichenbach right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, and we are prouder than ever to partner with the Philadelphia Eagles. Chicky and Pete's has been named the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, and we continue to serve as the official caterer of both Eagles training camp and the official caterer of the First Trust Bank Club at Lincoln Financial Field. Go where the players go. The official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies, and here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for AutoPay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Planning to go to the game? Give LimoToday.com a call. You'll get to the game and back safely and in style. Why worry about the traffic and parking when you can relax and let LimoToday.com do the driving for you and your friends? And if you book a 5-hour trip with LimoToday.com, you'll get the 6-hour free. From sedans to minibuses to vans and stretch limos, let LimoToday.com get you to the game. Give them a call at 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. That's 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. When an Eagles player gets hurt, the team takes care of him. When you get hurt, the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will take care of you. They understand that a severe accident can be a life-altering event. You need a reliable teammate to fight for you. The attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will get you great results. And if there's no recovery, there's no fee. Contact them today at 215-750-0110 for a free consultation. 215-750-0110 for a reliable ally that's on your side.
At Penn Community Bank, we're not just your bankers, we're your neighbors. That comes in handy when you're purchasing your first place, refinancing an existing mortgage, buying a second home or investment property, or looking to tap into your home's equity. Whatever your situation, we pair the latest products, services, and technology that you need with the experienced banking professionals you want. Visit PennCommunityBank.com or stop by your local branch to find out how we can make your family's growth personal. Penn Community Bank. Here we are and here we grow. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
Hi, it's Merrill. Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa is here to help you distress after the game. Visit them to restore, relax, or refresh with a much-needed massage or facial for an introductory price starting at just $79.95. They offer an abundance of facial and massage services. Visit any one of their 60 spas in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, or go to handandstone.com. Restrictions apply. See spa for details.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here's your host, Delaware County Times Birds reporter Bob Grotz, and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
And back we are, Chickies and Pete's and all about. You know, I just noticed something that some people brought things up for you to sign. Well, you have a very, very famous number because only great people have worn number 55. One recently passed away in the past year, Frank LeMaster. He was the first 55 with whom I became acquainted. Of course, you are number 55, and one of the most popular Eagles of all time wears number 55, and that is Brandon Graham.
Yeah, Brandon Graham.
Yeah.
Been around for a long time. Frank LeMaster was a great guy. I got to know him. As I came into the league, he left the Eagles and played. I think he had a couple more years, but just a great man. I got to know him after his career and got to work with him on some ministry stuff with youth, and he was very involved in the community. Just a really genuine guy.
Yeah, he was special.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten to meet Brandon Graham?
No, I never met Brandon. I've been down and around the guys, but I never had the opportunity to meet him.
You know what I say about Brandon, and I think Bobby would back me up on this. Yeah. If you happen to bump into Brandon Graham in the facility some morning, your day just got better. He is such an uplifting individual. You just feel so good about the day because you bumped into BG. He's just that guy. He's friendly. He's gregarious. He's hardworking, and he's made himself a terrific player.
Yeah, just to be in the league that long and play at a higher level and consistency. I mean, he's had his bumps and his bruises, but he's definitely had some big plays for them over the years and won some big games for them.
Only Brandon Graham and Chuck Bednarik have played with the Eagles for 14 years.
Wow.
They're the only two guys that have been there. I mean, that is amazing.
I remember Chuck because he was from my hometown in Bethlehem. Yeah. Bethlehem,
did you know him?
Yeah, he used to come in. It was funny because Chuck was when I was a rookie and came into the league. He was still involved somewhat with the organization, so he'd be in the locker room before the games. And, you're getting ready to run down on kickoffs, and you're looking at the clock, and you got about 15 minutes. And Chuck was telling me about his games when he played. And
yeah,
I'm like,
that's Chuck.
Chuck, I got to concentrate. I got to run down into this wall, 3,000-pound wall of linemen in about 10 minutes.
Well, Dick Vermeil tried to give the respect to the veterans and to the alumni. So he made Chuck Bednarik, he gave him a title of associate coach. So the Eagles are playing the Cowboys in Dallas, and Chuck's down there in the sideline, and there's a bad call, and Chuck runs out onto the field screaming at the official, and he throws a flag, and it cost the Eagles 15 yards for unsportsmanlike conduct. Chuck was never on the field again.
Yeah, I bet. But Chuck was a passionate guy. He was intense. And you know what? He was an Eagle. I mean, he just loved playing for the Eagles. And, I mean, he was from the area. I think he loved the organization. But he was intense.
I remember him at practices with that big cigar,
Yeah.
He had like an Eagles jersey or something and big cigar sitting there like this, looking at everybody. Yeah, what a great guy, he was an ambassador of Eagles football, especially in that Lehigh Valley.
So one day at training camp out at Westchester, no, it was in Lehigh. And that figures Lehigh and Bethlehem.
Yeah.
So Chuck is out at training camp with his nephew, and he turns to one of the PR people and says, "I'm here, and this is my nephew, and don't you think you ought to give us an Eagles shirt that we can wear?" So Derek Boyko, who was the PR guy, sent somebody over to the tent where they were selling all the merchandise, and he brings back 2 training camp T-shirts for Chuck and his nephew. Big white T-shirts, Eagles training camp, and they give them to Chuck, and he says, That's the best you can do is give me a T-shirt.
Didn't know about this. That's pretty good.
It's true.
That's so funny.
But wasn't that Chuck?
It's interesting because I think that's something about retired players, because I've recognized that is retired players, and it is the way, with all the big stars in the game, and once, especially with fans, as soon as you're not on that screen, when you retire and now you're not there anymore, you're kind of almost forgotten. I mean, I even think about great players that when I played, and you never hear their names anymore, but they were great players. But when they come to the practice or the game, they still think that they're part of the team, so they want to be treated like part of the team and get all the the perks that go with it. You try to say, listen, we're not the main guys.
We talked about Reggie White, and we talked about the great players, some of the great players that you played with, and you played really, really well. I mean, every time Byron Evans would come in at middle linebacker and screw up, Buddy Ryan would pull him from the lineup and put in Reichenbach.
It's funny because the defense was that difficult. I mean, everything was the difficult part about Buddy's defense is all the adjustments had to be done on the field. So he would have a game plan that would have all the defenses that he wanted to run across the top. On the left-hand side, he would have all the formations this team would run. Every formation. And so he would say, if they come out in this formation and I call 46 blitz, I want this blitz. If I call 46 coverage, I want this coverage. If I call AFC, I want this front. If I call AFC blitz, I want this. So you had to, the minute they came out in a formation, whatever he called, you had to pull that up from memory and make the call.
You didn't have one of those little wristlets?
No,
like
there was no wristlets, and there was no microphones in the helmet either.
Yeah.
So you had to line up the defensive line. You had to scream the coverage. Well, now you have 70,000 people, screaming. So you're calling the coverage. Well, Washington, of course, they started to see how we were doing all that. So what did Washington always do? They'd come out in a formation and they would shift. And then we'd have to change the front and change the coverage. And then they would shift again. So they were getting us. So I came over to the sideline and said, buddy, these guys don't know the calls. They're not studying. You know what he said? That's why I have you out there.
Who was your linebacker coach? Was it Tom Bettis?
No, it was Wade Phillips.
Wade Phillips.
Yes,
he was the linebacker
now,
coach.
When I first came in, it was oh boy, now you're testing me. Woody Hayes. He played for Ohio State.
Oh, Chuck Clausen.
No, Clausen was the defensive line coach.
George Hill.
Okay. George Hill was the linebacker coach.
Give me enough guesses, I'll get it.
George Hill was our linebacker coach, and he was very intense. So you had to hit every day. George loved to hit. So
as long as it wasn't him hitting.
Right. So we go over and we're playing. We take on a week's practice with the Los Angeles Raiders. Back then it was the Oakland Raiders. I think it was Los Angeles at the time. It might have been Oakland. We go to play them, and they were very laid back. So we're having a week's practice with them, and so we line up for the first drill. It's a hitting drill, 9-on-7, lineman against defense against offense. We come out, and George Hill says, we're going to set the tone. We're going to hit these guys. So we come out first play, bam, we smack them in the face. The Raiders step back, go, wait, this isn't how we practice. He said, you guys, this isn't what we do. So we said, listen, we have to. George Hill's saying we have. So they go back in the huddle. They break the huddle. They come out again. We come off, and bam, we smack them again. They said, all right, that's it. So they go back in the huddle, and there they sat for 10 minutes.
Really?
And then they break the huddle and come out again, and we hit them again. They went back in the huddle for 15 minutes. I think we got like 6 plays done in like a 45-minute period because they wouldn't come out and hit.
I remember before a first preseason game against the Lions in Pontiac, Michigan, the Eagles worked out with the Lions in Oakland Hills. Were you part of that?
Yes, I was part of that.
Part of that, Oakland Hills. And every single practice ended with a fight.
Yes.
It was an absolute all-out brawl between the two teams.
Yes, it was a fight, and that was Buddy Ryan.
Yeah.
And that week, we didn't run any of the 46 because it was our first preseason game. We ran all 4-3 defense because he didn't want them to know what we were doing. We came into the game because they would go in and we would stay out afterwards and run the 46. When we went into the game, we ran all 46. They didn't know how to block it. So we hit their quarterback probably 10 times. And it was a preseason game.
Preseason game. I mean, I couldn't believe it.
He was setting the tone. He would not run the 46 when we worked with them until they were off the field.
Can you imagine him today if he was still coaching?
Well, I remember something else. The Lions player who was the most rambunctious and would get into a fight with the Eagles every day was a guy by the name of William Frizzell. And he fought so much that Buddy traded for him and brought him to the Eagles. He used to call him Lefty after a country singer, Lefty Frizzell.
Yeah, Lefty Frizzell. He loaded the team with those types of guys. Andre Waters, another one who of course passed away. I mean, they were all guys that would run through a wall for Buddy. I mean, the front. He used to tell the defensive line, he'd say to Reggie and Clyde and all those guys, he'd say, listen, if quarterback throws an interception, I want to see all of you defensive linemen going to get a hit on him. So as soon as the quarterback would throw an interception, all the linemen would turn and run for him and try to get a hit on him.
For the quarterback?
Yeah. And the quarterback, you'd see the quarterback running down the field with 4 or 5 linemen chasing him because he said, if you don't get a hit on him, you guys are going to run till your legs fall off. That's what he would tell the defense.
Oh, my goodness. He was amazing. I have to ask you about this team and about the defensive line. When you look at players like, Jordan Davis, when you look at Jalen Carter, do you see players that in some way remind you of Reggie and that group? Because Dick Vermeil said, and you really, it's unfair to compare a rookie with an all-time great, but Dick Vermeil said he sees some Reggie in Jalen Carter. He's a beast.
I see Jerome Brown.
Jerome is another one. Jerome could do the same. Jerome wasn't as
fast.
He wasn't as fast as Reggie. Wasn't as good an athlete, but he could dunk a basketball. I mean, he could do the things. He had such explosiveness, and that's what you see in these. There's an intangible there that you see that it's not just leverage and strength. There's something there that gives them the leverage to be able to dominate. You can see that.
See, I see more of Jerome in Jordan Davis, that big, huge pocket crusher.
Yeah,
and he just stymied the Rams running backs.
Yeah, he disrupts people inside. I mean, it just changes the game. Those are impact guys. That's going to be. I'm sure teams are studying film now how they're going to handle those guys in a minute.
They've done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
We got to take a break, Merrill.
Do we? Okay.
Yeah.
This is so much fun. I hate to take breaks.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back with Mike Reichenbach right after this.
Hi, Merrill Reese, voice of the Eagles, inviting you to join me and a different Eagles guest every week for Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA. Listen to the show on both 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM from a different Chickies and Pete's location near you. Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA every Tuesday night from 6 to 7 right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM.
BCWSA customers, former Phillies pitcher Tommy Green here. I played on the 1993 National League champs, so I know a thing or two about what it's like playing on a winning team. BCWSA has all the ingredients. They make it easy for their customers to get automatic updates by text, email, or phone anytime there is a disruption in your service area. You can even customize your alerts by going to bcwsa.net. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, your partner for a safer environment. BCWSA, proven.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Planning to go to the game? Give LimoToday.com a call. You'll get to the game and back safely and in style. Why worry about the traffic and parking when you can relax and let LimoToday.com do the driving for you and your friends? And if you book a 5-hour trip with LimoToday.com, you'll get the 6-hour free. From sedans to minibuses to vans and stretch limos, let LimoToday.com get you to the game. Give them a call at 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. That's 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. Ventresca Limited, the Delaware Valley men's store, is located in historic Doylestown. For casual clothing in denim to business suits and tuxedos, Ventresca Limited has a large selection you have to see to believe. The experienced and knowledgeable sales staff can show you the many brand labels that have made Ventresca Limited in Doylestown a must for men concerned about their image. Select from Canali, Brax Jeans, Hickey Freeman, Johnson Murphy Footwear, and much more. Custom alterations are free. Visit Ventresca Limited on the web at ventresca.com.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
Hi, it's Merrill. Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa is here to help you distress after the game. Visit them to restore, relax, or refresh with a much-needed massage or facial for an introductory price starting at just $79.95. They offer an abundance of facial and massage services. Visit any one of their 60 spas in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, or go to handandstone.com. Restrictions apply. See spa for details.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here's your host, Delaware County Times Birds reporter Bob Grotz, and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
What time is it, Bob Grotz?
It is time for this week's injury review, brought to you by the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio. Contact them today for a free consultation at 215-806-3689, 215-806-3689.
Okay.
I don't have any legal needs right now, so I'll
get
right to the injuries.
Go right to your injuries. Okay.
All right. Not actually an injury, but Nakobe Dean is designated for return from injured reserve. He had a foot injury. He spent the last 4 weeks, just rehabbing, and he looked pretty good last week. So he's going to be back this year. They're going to have to move somebody to make room for him. And, in terms of pure injury, Sidney Brown was scratched last week, but he practiced on Friday. Limited. He's a safety. And maybe not so much this week, but next week when the Eagles play Miami, they're going to need all cornerbacks, all hands on deck. But I fully expect him to play against the Jets this Sunday. He had a hamstring. Fletcher Cox, I'm not so sure about. You think he's going to be in the lineup this week?
I think he's ready this week, I do.
Well, he had an epidural shot in his back last week and sat out that game.
Yeah.
Didn't even make the trip. So that's something that still has to be monitored. Cam Jurgens he's out for 4 weeks. They put him on injured reserve. And, Merrill, I think they've upgraded with Suo Opeta.
Well, he's
right
done
guard.
well. He's done well.
Yeah, so – and that's the extent of the injuries.
Mike Reichenbach, how did you get from East Stroudsburg to the NFL?
Well, it was a long road. I mean, you didn't have the social media back then, so you had to almost promote yourself more. But the big thing was when I was my senior year at East Stroudsburg, I was first-team All-American. So that got me on the map. And I always used to say, back then the Pennsylvania Conference, which is it's highly recruited now. There's good football, but it was Division II, and so you didn't see a lot of scouts coming. And I always used to say that if a scout was coming by and he needed gas, he would pull off the exit and say, "Oh, there's a college here. Let me go see if there's any players."
Yeah.
But yeah, once I made the All-American team, it basically got me some notoriety where teams would come in and work you out. But I didn't get to any of the combines or anything like that.
No, you weren't drafted, right?
No, I was a free agent.
You were a free agent.
Yeah, I was
Now
a free
the Eagles picked up another free agent last year from one of those schools that nobody really talks about, and he came from Middle Tennessee State, number 32, Reed Blankenship.
Yeah.
And he is a player.
Yeah,
He's a starter already.
Yeah, and he makes an impact. I mean, he's a hitter. You can tell he wants to make contact with people, and that's to have that position at the safety position to have because in this league, it's changed a lot. The linebackers aren't the big, those big bulking guys anymore. They have to be able to run. They have to be able to cover the field. So to have a bigger safety like that can come up and put the wood on people, that does help.
He really knows the defense too,
Yeah,
and
he's smart.
Gets guys lined up
Yep.
properly, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with N'Kobe coming back. Merrill, I mean, he had the blue dot on his helmet.
That means he calls the plays.
So the microphone, But Reed Blankenship has done a tremendous job, and so has the other guy too, Morrow.
Oh, Nicholas Morrow.
Yeah.
Nick
Yeah,
Morrow. Yeah.
they've covered, and again, it's better to have if you can have a linebacker as your caller because you have to get the calls to the defensive line and the so if he's more central to the defense, it does help. But to have a safety like that you have a backup because again, you're one injury away. The depth to have that ability to be able to someone to step into that role. That's the hardest thing is making those calls and getting people lined up.
Okay, I have to ask you this: when you played for Buddy, or even for Marion, how many assistant coaches did they have?
Well, you have every position coach, of course. That was the limit. We had a strength coach, so every position had a coach, and you had a strength coach. That was pretty much.
So that was what, about 12?
Yeah, I would say about 12.
Do you know how many assistant coaches they have today?
I can't even.
Merrill knows, yeah.
They have managers of manager, and
They have an assistant line coach. They have 28 assistant coaches.
They have a nickel coach, just for the nickel. Yeah.
They have a passing game coordinator. It's unbelievable. That's why. Do you realize this is something I'll bet you don't know? We now fly in 2 planes.
Oh my goodness!
2 planes.
That's
we used to have
incredible.
this great big plane. Now they have 2 planes. Each one is a little bit smaller than the great big jumbo jet, but it's great. I mean, because the players and 28 assistant coaches are on one, and the broadcasters and the marketing people and marketing guests are on the plane that I'm on. And it's comfortable.
See,
I had 3 seats to myself last week.
That's great.
I
because
stretched out.
I remember you had the players, you had the coaches, but you also had the friends of the owner.
Oh,
you had people. So depending on what the other people that were coming, players had to sit like 3 in a row or whatever. So we had to consolidate based on all the other people that were coming. But
Did you have celebrities on the flight with you?
Well,
Bradley Cooper, anybody like that?
No,
Yeah.
we didn't. Not back then. It was business. I mean, you didn't have that kind of. You didn't see. There was no mingling. Like we couldn't go up and talk to. We were pretty much. They kept an eye on us.
Were you when
Stay
you came
focused.
with Marion? Was Leonard Toast the owner?
Yes, Leonard Toes was the owner, and then Norman Brayman.
Norman Brayman came
bought the
in.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, which changed everything. Everything got a lot tighter then. Rusty Sweeney was the equipment guy.
Yeah.
You remember Rusty Sweeney?
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when Leonard Toes was a player's owner.
Whatever you wanted.
Yeah, whatever you wanted. Well, when Norman Brayman came in, everything tightened down.
Oh.
So even if you got a hole in your socks, you would take them up to Rusty and say, "Rusty, I need a new pair of socks." He goes, "What'd you do with the old ones?" I said, "They have a hole in them." He goes, "Let me see." You had to take them up and show him you had a hole in your
You had
sock.
to confirm that. Huh?
Well,
yeah.
Stan Hochman, the legendary writer for the Daily News, used to refer to Norman Brayman. He gave him the nickname Bottom Line Brayman.
Oh yeah, he was definitely bottom line. I couldn't tell you some of the things Buddy used to say about
Oh, I know what he used to say about him.
He called him the guy in France.
The guy in France, because he used to vacation in France. So Buddy would say, and you had trouble signing players then in the summer.
Yeah.
They'd hold out. Today,
Oh,
that's all
yes.
slotted. You don't have that.
Yep.
So Buddy would say, well, we'd sign some players if the guy from France would ever come back. And then Buddy came in and he made his own car deal. They had a deal with the Ford dealers of the Delaware Valley. They had Buick dealers, and Buddy made his own deal. Oh, he got into trouble every other day.
He loved it, too. He loved every second of it.
Oh, were you there for the players' strike?
Yes. We were there for the players' strike. And
82?
Buddy,
1987.
Yeah, 87.
Yeah.
And so we had to, we weren't allowed to mingle, so I had to come in and get the game plan. And he put certain players in charge. We had to get everybody to a field, a high school, local high school, and we had to actually have practice. So he basically said, you guys, he made us, I mean, he wasn't allowed to do that, but he didn't interact with us or anything. He just would give me the game plan, and we would go to a field.
I think a lot of teams are doing that too, right?
You had to, because you didn't know if it was going to end or when it was going to end. But yeah, Buddy was hard on those replacement players.
Oh, he called them the scab team. And he was vicious with those.
You know who one
he
of them
wouldn't talk
was?
to them and he wouldn't coach them.
No.
One of them was Sean Payton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's
I
right.
I forgot that.
Was he a
was.
quarterback?
Yeah, he was a
Scab
quarterback.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wasn't real fond of them, and that year we thought we had a chance, but they started out. I think for whatever reason the guys we recruited weren't that good, and we kind of lost.
And then Buddy would do anything to get Norman Brayman upset because he wouldn't coach these guys at all. So the strike finally ends, and we're in the dining room for a press the Monday press conference, and Buddy Ryan asks. He said, would somebody please get Joe Woolley, who was the director of player personnel, to come into the dining room? And someone comes and gets
This
Joe
was
Woolley.
bad. This was not right.
And Buddy went out to a 5 and 10 someplace, and he picked up this gigantic plastic ring. And he said, Joe, I would like to present you the scab ring for getting the worst group of players that you could ever find. And poor Joe Woolley was so embarrassed by the whole thing. And
good.
Norman Brayman was going crazy. He couldn't fire Buddy fast enough.
Yeah, there was no love lost there. I even when there was an altercation in the locker room after a game. Buddy made a comment about the owner. We had actually won the game. I think it was right after the strike, and he actually said some really derogatory things about the owner in front of the players. And
I believe it.
And Norman was there.
Buddy and Norma were going at it. Yeah.
Oh, it was bad.
Bickering.
Yeah. Oh,
wow.
it was bad. It was bad.
I know all about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you were there with Keith Jackson?
Yes.
So Keith Jackson held out one year. They did that whole video. Buddy's watching you, and they did the whole video.
Yeah.
And Keith Jackson is holding out. So I came home. I would play tennis on Monday afternoons, and I came home. My wife, Cindy, is on the phone when I came in. And I said, Cindy, who are you talking to? She said, I'm talking to Keith Jackson. Keith had called to talk to me and to tell me that he was coming back tomorrow on Tuesday. So Cindy said to me, Keith Jackson's coming back tomorrow. She said, I was just talking to him. So that day, he came back on Tuesday. Buddy knew, but the front office didn't know. And Buddy held his own press conference for Keith Jackson down in the coach's locker room, and on he goes. So the next game the Eagles had was in Anaheim against the Rams. And they're out there, and Keith Jackson, the first game back, he catches a ball for 10 yards or something, not much. So I'm in the back of the plane going home, and Buddy's in the middle of the plane. And all of a sudden, Buddy yells, hey, Merrill. I'm looking up, and he said, guess who I gave a game ball to? And I said, who? He said,
No,
Keith
he didn't.
Jackson, just up to the owner's blip. He gave him a game ball just to aggravate Norman Brayman. That was what Buddy would do.
Buddy thrived on that stuff, and he did it. He tried to play the head games all the time. He would give the other teams, he would give them press clippings all week
yeah.
long. He would just talk about their players. He would talk about their coaches.
They play the Rams. He said, we have to stop those itty-bitty backs.
Oh, yeah. He would just – and we were just like in the locker room. I remember when the game when he went after Luis and Dejas.
Oh, that was the Bounty Bowl?
The
That's
Cowboy
called the Bounty
game.
Bowl.
And we had released him, and Louis had made some derogatory statements about Buddy. And then the Cowboys pick him up, and we're playing him.
And he had Jesse Small go after him.
And we came in the locker room. We lost. We were kicking, and I said, Buddy, we're kicking. And he looked at Alonzo and said, you know what you got to do, right? And we were just thinking he was asking Alonzo if he knew his plays. So, and then we saw it happen, and we were just like, oh boy, here we go. And he did all that just to get into Jimmy Johnson's head.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy Johnson came charging across the field.
Oh, yes.
It just was crazy.
Buddy infuriated Tom Landry. I remember there was a game at the vet. You remember that game? Tom Landry was so
And he was angry because Tom Landry used his varsity during the strike.
Yes, I remember that.
And Buddy was furious.
I remember that.
So at the end of the game,
I had a different example. Yeah,
this was when he faked the kneel down and tossed a pass to Mike Quick in the end zone.
That was Mike Quick's idea, I'll bet you.
No, I don't think. But I think knowing Mike, he was as embarrassed about it as Norman Brayman was. And the other thing, when I will never forget, is the Eagles lost a playoff game to Washington, and after that, Buddy was fired, and they called a press conference. But again, they thought Buddy would be out of there. Buddy calls and invites all the media down to his office. And everybody walks into Buddy's office, and he said to the media, he walks in with a big smile, and he says, well, it's the first time anybody's ever been fired for winning.
I did feel bad for him. I was in Miami at that time, and I actually heard it, and I gave him a call.
Did you?
Yeah.
And you know what? He bought a racehorse after that and named the racehorse Fired for Winning.
I think he ran at Philadelphia Park. I think I saw him run there.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I remember that.
He really did.
We got to go. We
have another break. Yeah. I hate to stop talking. All right, we'll be back with Mike right after this.
It's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. Here's a winner, fall football, and Chickies and Pete's mouth-watering snow crab legs. For a limited time, buy one and get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday. Enjoy the sweet, delicate flavor of snowy white crab meat dressed in our special blend of seasonings and spices. Pair it with an ice-cold draft beer or one of our signature cocktails. Buy one and get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday for a limited time. Restrictions apply. Chickies and Pete's.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. And here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for AutoPay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Planning to go to the game? Give LimoToday.com a call. You'll get to the game and back safely and in style. Why worry about the traffic and parking when you can relax and let LimoToday.com do the driving for you and your friends? And if you book a 5-hour trip with LimoToday.com, you'll get the 6-hour free. From sedans to minibuses to vans and stretch limos, let LimoToday.com get you to the game. Give them a call at 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. That's 1-866-LIMO-TODAY.
The life of an Eagles fan is a wild ride. Some years we triumph. Some years we don't. What never changes year after year is how we get to the game, shoulder to shoulder with our fellow fans on SEPTA. And this season, fans ride home free from NRG Station on the Broad Street line thanks to Unibet, an official casino and sportsbook partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Plan your trip to the game and learn more about free rides home, sponsored by Unibet at iseptaphilly.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Penn Community Bank, we're not just your bankers, we're your neighbors. That comes in handy when you're purchasing your first place, refinancing an existing mortgage, buying a second home or investment property, or looking to tap into your home's equity. Whatever your situation, we pair the latest products, services, and technology that you need with the experienced banking professionals you want. Visit PennCommunityBank.com or stop by your local branch to find out how we can make your family's growth personal. Penn Community Bank. Here we are and here we grow. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, it's Merrill. Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa is here to help you distress after the game. Visit them to restore, relax, or refresh with a much-needed massage or facial for an introductory price starting at just $79.95. They offer an abundance of facial and massage services. Visit any one of their 60 spas in Delaware, South Jersey, and Philadelphia, including the Lehigh Valley, or go to handandstone.com. Restrictions apply. See spa for details.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here's your host, Delaware County Times Birds reporter Bob Grotz, and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
And it is time now for this week's Penworth Financial Keys to the Game. The key to your financial future is Penworth Financial. Call them today at 267-997-4503 or visit penworth.com.
I got the first key
First
here.
key.
Yeah.
All right, here's the
and
first
I got to
key.
tell you, I was talking to Chris Irmer about this.
Okay.
All right.
Chris would know.
Yep. Zach Wilson, it's critical to move him off his spot because his arm.
Does he have a spot?
No, his arm talent is off the charts, right, Merrill?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the first key to the game.
Okay. Mike Reichenbach, do you have a key to the game?
I think again, it's the focus. It's not having a lull. I mean, these are the things where these are the games you have to win because it's going to get tougher after this, and so you want to get that momentum and keep it. And I think that their defense is going to have, is going to impact the game this week and control it. I think again, I look at the league now and I see all these young quarterbacks. They're investing all the money in these guys. It's the balance of that team. The offensive line is a key. Run the football. Get the ball to Goddard. The stuff that works. Just keep moving the chains. Keep time of possession. Do the same things that you've been doing and build on that.
You know what my number one key is? You get out there during the warm-ups and you go over to Jalen Carter and you point him at the other end of the field and you see number two. I want you to get up close and personal with number 2.
Really?
That is Zach Wilson.
I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on him.
Oh,
I would not want to be him
and
this week.
they lost another offensive lineman this week.
The left tackle.
They lost their left tackle. If Aaron Rodgers hadn't been hurt in the first game, he would have been hurt in the second game.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I saw that. You saw that in the show.
Offensive line is a disaster.
What's the offseason?
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks. That's all you heard Rodgers talking about was the offensive line got to get it together. The offensive line got to get it together, and it just never.
Why would he go there for whatever money when they didn't have an offensive line? I don't understand.
He was
that.
out there for 4 plays. He got hit on 3 of them. Rodgers did.
Yeah, he did.
It was going to happen.
Yeah. It's amazing. So listen, but every week, Mike, it's easy to say, well, the Eagles, you could be snide about this thing. What do you have to do to beat the Jets? Show up. But the truth of the matter is, every week you look at the scores, and there's some bad team that beats a good team. Yeah. I mean, when Arizona beat Dallas, something like that happens every week.
Well, and listen, this is a game. If you don't perform, you're out of a job a lot of times. Not everybody has the guaranteed contract. So when a team is losing, sometimes they play above and beyond what their ability. So because they're fighting for their jobs.
The Jets have given up just 17 second half points in their last 3 second halves.
Defense is tough.
Yeah, and the Chiefs were one of those teams. So
yeah, I think if their defense is if that's what I say. These are one of those games where when the Eagles get in the red zone, they got to score touchdowns.
Excellent point, too.
You can't kick field goals.
And you're right, too. I mean, this is a bit of a sandwich game, too, because Miami is next week.
Yep.
And that's going to be that's going to be highly touted.
I look at this as a must-win.
Yeah.
For what's coming down.
Boy, this team, though, has so many answers in so many ways. I mean, they have a punt returner in Britton Covey who's just the best in the league right now. And, also – Jake Elliott is an elite kicker. Isn't he something?
No doubt. He's definitely a weapon. And special teams is not as much of a weapon anymore because of the kick returns and things you see taken out of the game.
Trying to outlaw it, yeah.
Yeah. So, but field position and, with your punter and the field goals, you gotta hit them.
Okay, guys, time to put your thinking caps on as we pick the game. By the way,
I like the Eagles.
You were better than I was last week, and you are now on the season 24-8, and I am 20-12.
Whoa!
I am embarrassed to say.
Yeah.
All right. First,
Cindy must be keeping track of these scores.
If Cindy were picking the games, I'd be closer. All right. Giants at Buffalo. Bob.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Mike.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Is this the worst Giants team you've seen?
I don't know what's
They
going on.
They are a mess.
The wheels
They
are
are
off.
a mess. All right. Washington at Atlanta.
It's a tough one. I'm going to go with Washington.
Are you?
I'll go with the home team. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with Atlanta. All right. This is an interesting game. Detroit at Tampa Bay.
Detroit,
Bobby.
Yeah, I'm with Mike. I don't see how Tampa Bay is. Yeah.
Detroit. I'll tell
Detroit's
you what.
playing well. They're going to be a team to contend with.
They're
late
coming
in the year.
off a bye too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
I think
something.
they're a good football team.
When their coach arrived, they became a different team.
Yeah, he's old school football.
Dan Campbell.
I'm not a fan of that quarterback though. Goff.
Goff's played well.
He doesn't make mistakes. He's
No.
not the guy that's going to carry you to the Super Bowl, but they surrounded him with enough good people. He can
Look,
win.
they traded Goff for Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford got them a Super Bowl championship. But look at Matthew Stafford now.
Yeah.
He couldn't get the Rams over the 50-yard
If
line.
they
in the
had
second half.
Stafford, they'd win the Super
They
Bowl.
need talent. Their offensive line's pretty bad too.
I don't know. All right, Seattle at Cincinnati.
I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
3 for Cincinnati.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. How about this is an interesting one. Indianapolis, and Shane Steichen is doing a terrific job there.
Yeah.
At Jacksonville. Jacksonville's been in London for the London's team.
Yeah, I'm going to go in Indianapolis.
You're going to go Indy. You're right.
I like the Colts too.
Yep.
Go
He's
Doug.
won 3 games.
I've got
Steichen.
Jacksonville. I know he has. All right. Here's another one. It is Minnesota at the Bears.
Ooh.
The battle of the bad. Minnesota at the Bears.
I'll take the Bears.
You're taking the Bears.
Yeah, Minnesota's going to be without that receiver. Their best guy, Justin Jefferson.
I'm going to go with the Bears.
That's 3 for the Bears.
The Bears.
Okay.
There we go.
How about this is an interesting game because I think D'Amico Ryans, who became a friend of mine and is a wonderful, wonderful person.
I'll take Houston.
Yeah. New Orleans at Houston.
I'm going to take Houston as well.
I'm going with Houston.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I am taking New Orleans in that game.
Ah.
I really am. I'm rooting for D'Amico, but I am taking New Orleans. And then the Monday Night Football game, the Dallas Cowboys, who don't know where they are after getting killed by San Francisco. Dallas is now in San Diego. Who wins that game, Mike
San
Reichenbach?
I
Diego.
think
Oh,
Dallas.
Los Angeles. The Chargers. I forgot. They moved.
I'm stuck in a
That's all right.
time
It's
warp.
all West
Yeah.
Coast. West Coast doesn't
But
matter.
it's
all
the
same.
Rams. Rams, right?
Right. It's Dallas at the Chargers.
Oh, the Chargers.
At the Chargers.
I think the Cowboys have to win this game.
Yeah.
I
So you
gotta
think
go
they
the
win it?
Cowboys.
I'll go Cowboys.
I don't know. I think I'm still not.
Justin
Dak
Herbert
is
going to
Yeah,
pick them apart.
I know. Dak
Justin
is not the
Herbert.
guy. He's definitely.
I am taking the Chargers.
Yeah, you know what? I want to change my mind. Yeah.
Okay.
Chargers.
We are about out of time.
I'm
convinced
just going
me
with
with
the
that
Cowboys
little-
because
yeah.
they have to win. They
Hey, you have been a great guest. We
Yeah.
don't pay you enough.
No.
But we thank you for coming tonight.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
Chris
Thank you.
Irmer,
You need a
who is
fisherman's
our
friend? Yeah.
producer.
Yeah.
Bobby, thank you. And
Great job,
our
Mike.
executive producer has been Rona Greenfield. So that is it for our show tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Good night, everyone.
You've been listening to the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA. Tonight's show is an exclusive presentation of 1490 AM, as well as 107.3 FM, and heard around the world at WBCB1490.com.